For our demonstration project, we're going to be using a reference illustration, which is available in the class Brightspace page. So if you go to the Brightspace page on your browser, on your iPad, click on Content, then Shaper 3D, Assignment, and here is the illustration that we want. On the iPad, you just tap and hold and choose Add to Photos. Now if we switch to Shaper 3D, this is the Start page. I'm going to click Start Design and New Design, and we have a blank page. Choose the Import button, then Photos, and then Keep Current Selection. So we have our reference illustration here. Now I'm going to manipulate it a little bit. So it came in upside down. So I'm going to use the rotate tool to turn it 180 degrees. And I'm going to build my drawing off of the top view here, or bottom view, I guess, depending on how you look at it, of this power adapter, where the dimensions are 27 by 42 millimeters. So I'm going to move that over and center it kind of there. I'm going to tap Done. This is probably not to the correct scale. I'm going to tap Top so that I'm looking straight down on it. And I'm going to tap Sketch and draw a vertical line that is 27 millimeters. And we can see it's definitely not to scale. And a horizontal line that's 42 millimeters. And I'll close off that box. So we can see that the drawing is not even close. I'm tapping the items icon at the bottom of the screen and then selecting the image. Then I'll close this. So I need to choose Scale and drag up and drag it up. Kind of eyeballing it here. Okay, can't tell, that looks close, but I'm going to double tap on the image so that I can move it over. Move it down a little bit. Deselect. Actually, you know what? I want that box to be, that rectangle to be centered on the origin point. So I'm going to double tap that drawing and delete it. And I'm going to go into Sketch and Rectangle. And I'm going to choose Center and build my rectangle from the center. And starting from the origin point, I will build this out. So this dimension should be 42, and this one should be 27. Okay. Now I'll double tap on the illustration, and now I'll move it up. looks a little too big, so I'm going to choose Items, Image, Close, Scale, and bring it down a little bit. Deselect, double tap on the image, and move it over. Looks like I want a half here. So I'm going to tap that, 2.5. I think my image is still a little too big. You don't have to go through all of this. I'm really doing it because I want to get the dimensions of the curvature of the outside surface of this. Okay, it looks pretty good. All right, so all of that work. Basically, if you zoom in, you can see that there's a curve right on the outside edges of this power adapter. So I want to be able to try to get that as close as possible to what it really is. So one way I can do that is to tilt my image so I can see the light blue closed area. Tap and extrude up a little bit. Then tap off, whoops, and tap the edge or the one of the corners of the shape, and I'm going to pull out for a fillet. And if I look underneath, perhaps, whoop, look at that, it looks just about right. So 9 is too much, 7's not quite enough. It looks like there's an 8mm radius for those fillets. Okay, now that I have that information, I'm going to actually double tap to select the body and delete it. And tap top, so I'm looking straight down on my illustration. And I'll tap sketch, and I'm going to go in 8 and down 8. Oops, looked like my illustration moved over a little bit, so I'm going to, oh, see that? And do those. So the first thing I want to do is double tap to select that sketch, and on the bottom right hand side I'm going to click lock, so that's locked into place. I don't want that accidentally moving around. So now I'll go up to this point and move over 8, down 8, and over 8. I didn't need that last line, but you'll see why in a minute. So if I click outside of the, scroll all the way out so I can click outside the illustration and the sketch, you can see what's going on here. Now I'll tap sketch and circle, and going from this point to the edge straight out, you can see that's a radius of 8mm. Now with that sketch selected, so I'm going to zoom out so I can click just that circle. Double tap. Oh, it's selecting the whole thing. So if I go up here All right. Just that. Ah, okay, there it is. If I zoom in, now I can see the little plus and minus sign here. And you notice that up at the top, it toggled from copy off to copy on. So with a copy on, I'm going to drag the arrow and move it over to this edge. And down here. And over here. Now you'll notice it's not touching, but that's fine. What I'm going to do now is tap this edge and the circle and choose tangent. And here, and tangent, and tangent, and tangent. Okay. Now I can tap trim, and I'm going to get rid of all the extra pieces that I don't need. All right. All right, there's an issue up there. I wonder why that happened. Let's do undo. That should have been tangent. Okay. Well, I'll just trim that little piece off. And trim that off. Okay. I don't see any extra bits hanging around here. All right. Now I've got the outside shape of the power adapter.